everyone, and welcome to Food for Life today. I have a very special guest that I am so excited for you guys to meet. His name is Lupe Aguilar, and he has the very popular YouTube channel, Rhody Foody. And he is amazing. He goes around reviewing places and talks with his friends, and he has the coolest personality. So if you haven't checked it out, go. So I'm going to welcome Lupe in, and let's hear it from him. Hi, Lupe. How are you?
How are you doing? You made me sound way too cooler than what I am, but thank you. I appreciate the intro. Thank you.
I did get a chance to watch some of your YouTube videos. There's a lot of them, by the way.
Man, we have over, I think in about a year and change, we've done over 1,000 YouTube videos. Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot in a year.
That's a lot of this beautiful face that you're seeing right here. I don't know if it's for better or worse, but it's out there. Yeah.
I know. I feel like that every time I do a video. It's like, do you really want to look at me every time I do a
Right.
video? So, there's something you've done during
Yeah.
the pandemic that I found really interesting was you did 100 restaurants in
Mm.
100 days, which
Hmm.
it just mind blowing. You
Yeah.
want to tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So, I've worked in hospitality most of my life, along in entertainment and radio, and there's this sense of community and family when you've worked either bussing tables, or a dishwasher, chef, bartender, hostess, what
Been
have
there.
you. Yeah, right? You're basically a
Yeah.
little family, and sometimes you spend more time with them than you do with your regular family. So, when I don't like to say the word, but when the panorama hit, Covito, as I like to call it, there was we sat back because Rhody Foody was doing we were doing free photo shoots for restaurants. We had a really talented photographer named Danny Lee, and a bunch of us, myself, like you said, Lindsay, and a couple of other friends. We would go and take photos, and we couldn't do that, right? Because dining rooms were shut down. Folks were actually getting sick, so they couldn't open. And we sat down one day and we were trying to get creative. And I said, well, one thing that we can do is help promote their takeout business, because a lot of restaurants, especially in Rhode Island, they were really old school. A lot of them didn't believe in social media, right? Now they love it. Now they're like, oh, we love Instagram. To get the word out. And, that's basically our space. So we decided, what are we going to do? We didn't know how long it was going to last. Did we know it was going to be a couple years? We didn't know it was going to be this long, right? So
No, we thought it would be a few months.
we thought it was a few months. So I was like, what's a few months? 90 days? I was like, well, let's do 100 days and do 100 takeout videos. And every single restaurant has, and, as Rhode Island is, everyone's like, you got to go here. And it was like, we can only do 100. Oh my God. But everything was everyone was so appreciative, and we loved it because it gave us a chance to get fresh air just driving around, but also reconnecting with the restaurants, and helping them stay afloat, because a lot of them, again, were, if anybody doesn't know, margins in a restaurant are very thin. I used to own a little grilled cheese place myself, so
Yeah.
I have a bachelor's degree in how to run something like that, and it's a tough business. So when something like that happened, you have to rely on any and all. So it was kind of our way of going out and helping to not only showcase them, but also help them by ordering food, right? Actually paying and talking about it, and letting them know that certain restaurants are still open, because some of them still shut down for a while, but some were still open trying to do that. So we decided to do 100 days, 100 local restaurants, and it was a delicious ride. I'll tell you that much.
That's a lot of food to eat.
That was a lot of food, and it wasn't just myself. It was a lot of friends. We did it in a very safe way. Sometimes it would be, just Lindsay or just Camilla. A lot of the Rhody Foodie family members, and them just sending me the video and me uploading it and talking about it, but also not only just doing the video, but promoting it on Instagram, promoting it on Facebook, and just getting the word out to the masses, essentially, that, hey, this local restaurant, if you happen to live in Cranston or you happen to live in Woonsocket or Providence, this place is still doing it. Please go support them. And one of the biggest things that we were pushing along the way too was like, hey, if you don't feel comfortable even getting takeout, think about maybe buying a gift card and put it in your back pocket, right?
Right.
Even if for a gift or when you do feel comfortable, you can go out and eat. So we were trying to push that as well because, in my opinion, the restaurant scene, the food scene in Rhode Island should be treated as a natural resource, like any other natural resource.
I was in Providence in the fall I had a TV appearance there.
Yeah.
And I asked Lindsay, I'm like, so where should I eat? So I was asking all my friends that had been there or like went to college there. And you should see the list of things that I got, like from
Yeah.
people. They're like, well, what do you like? Where do you think you want to go? And it was so funny, like all the stuff I got. And there's such a variation. I mean, I know there's a whole bunch of old school Italian places there,
Yeah.
which is great. But I actually went to a newer place because it was in mid fall, so it was still nice out. We went to a rooftop bar that was a
Ooh.
Mare.
Oh yeah, Mar Rooftop. Yeah, yeah. Very
Mare
pretty in
rooftop.
there. Yeah, you get a nice little view of the east side. Very nice. They actually have a sister restaurant, I believe, Wayland Fresh, I think, or they do like salads and stuff. So yeah. So they're expanding, and you're seeing these small restaurants actually, deciding to double down on Rhode Island, which is a beautiful thing, and wanting to open more restaurants, which I think is great. Yeah.
I'm a big supporter of buy local and support local, not just the businesses, but like farms, seafood, like anything
Sure.
you can put your
Yeah.
hands on. And I think Rhode Island does that very well because you
Yeah.
guys have so many, like, I mean, you're right on the ocean.
Hmm.
And there are farms, there are things like that. And I think a lot of these restaurants utilize that quite well.
Yeah, there's every little, I think you roll the clock backwards, maybe a decade ago there was maybe one or two farmers markets, and now every little neighborhood is starting to, one of the pioneers out there is Farm Fresh, which I used to be a huge volunteer with. What they do is they act as kind of a that middle person. So, because if you want like a certain cheese or a certain vegetable from this place, your chef back in the day would have to travel around the whole state. But now what they do is that they just built a beautiful big facility in Providence where they can do a lot of the packaging and the storing. So as a restaurant, right? Let's say Bella Foodie Cafe opens up and you want to support local, you just order through from Farm Fresh, and they're the ones that have already all the stuff from all the farms and everything around the state. So it's a really cool program they have going on, especially if you're a farm to table type of restaurant or you're a restaurant that wants to kind of, dip your toes in the farm to fresh and you want to start sprinkling little things. It's a really cool organization.
And like you said before, like I mean, I worked in restaurants
Yeah.
all through high school into college and a little bit after college. It was good money. I bartended, I waited tables, I hosted, like I did everything. I've done everything there is to do, I think, except for be a busser. Oh wait, no, actually I did fill in and do that at one
Let's
point.
be honest. When you work in a restaurant, everyone's a busser. So
Yeah, I was like, I actually filled in a few times being a busser on
Mhm.
some nights.
I have
But
too. Yeah.
the thing is that they make their money mostly on the bar. There's just such a limited window.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, agreed.
So if you want to enjoy good food, like a place like Farm Fresh can limit the overhead because you don't have to. Sometimes farms need you to buy this much from them or that much. At
Right.
least something like that can let you buy just a little bit just to see
Yeah.
if you like it.
And that's what Farm Fresh doing. I mean, I was, part of what I was doing at volunteering at Farm Fresh, and volunteers in that organization are very essential because it keeps their overhead down too, right? Because Farm Fresh has an amazing mission statement, and what I was doing there was we were receiving things and we were also packaging them up for restaurants. And I was actually finding new restaurants that I didn't even know existed just by packaging them. Like they wanted mushrooms from here, and they wanted apples from Steer Orchard, and it's all there. So you're right. It's kind of it's like doing bulk buying, but for local farms locally. So it's a great program. I wish them nothing but I hope they expand aggressively. Yeah.
So when you go out to eat, like if you're like going
Yeah.
out with friends or your partner or whatever, do they just like leave it up to you to pick where you're going? Or are they just like, yeah, I'm not going to bother picking where we go?
Yeah. Um, yeah, it's the one question I always get is, hey, what's the new place, right? Because Rhode Island is a very new, we want to check out what's new, Rhode Island, right? But most of the time, believe it or not, I surround myself with other foodies. So it's kind of like, hey, they have this new special over here, or hey, Hux is doing a southern dinner series that's 5 courses. So it's one of those things. Like my friends I think they're bigger foodies than I am. I just happen to be here wanting to eat with them, and I'm always have an appetite. So I surround yourself with foodies is basically my best suggestion to people out there.
I do have foodies in my life, and I have friends that love to cook and things, but it's always left up to me to pick where we're
Yeah,
going.
I know. And it's the pressure, right? You're like, oh my God, what if they don't like it? Because here's the thing when it comes to food is not only do our palates change every 7 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, everyone's palate is different. So, I can say, hey, these are my favorite tacos. And then they'll take them by it. They'll be like, it's okay. And you'll just shatter inside. You're like, what do you mean? It's amazing. And then vice versa too. They bring it to there, and I was like, yeah, it's okay, it's good, it's good. So it's one of those things where what I always tell people is be open minded when you go out to eat. I have a rule even with myself is I need to either try something or eat somewhere at least 2 or 3 times, and I have to take at least 2 or 3 bites of it. And I try to preach that to everybody because we all have that one friend, right? They order the chicken nuggets and and the French fries everywhere you go. Picky eaters. So I had to, growing up myself, I was a semi picky eater, and I had to kind of train myself to kind of try new things. Yeah, when I first, here's a story. When I first moved to Rhode Island, um, the thought of lobster. So the very first lobster I had was at Nordic Lodge, right? The all you can eat lobster place. Everyone's like, you got to go to Nordic Lodge. So we went, and they have a section there where it's all steak. And I was just eating because I was like, oh, I love steak. So I was just pounding the steak. And I tried the lobster, and I didn't get it. But as I continued trying them, and then I think a gateway food for lobster for folks is a lobster roll. And now I just eat those like a complete maniac. But now I love lobster, and I like it the traditional way with just the butter and cracking it. I love the whole experience of it. Same thing with sushi. I thought sushi was absolutely disgusting. And the gateway way to there is as everybody knows, you get the California roll, you get the little spicy mayo, and then you start branching off into the other types of sushi. So give
It
your
takes
palate,
a little
yeah,
bit to get used to the idea that you're eating raw fish and you're
yeah, it
eating
does. I know, because you can't have raw chicken. Like, how is this? Where's the
how is
universal
it
laws
safe for
here?
you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just give your palate a chance, and if you don't like it this year, try it again next year, and I promise you that you'll be pleasantly surprised because there's so much food out there, and we have very little time on this earth to try it all. Yeah.
Which I think is funny that you're saying about like trying it multiple times and
Yeah.
like going over. I teach cooking classes to
Ooh.
children.
Oh, nice.
So there's
Oh, the pickiest of them all.
six-year-olds
Yeah.
that are so determined that they don't like certain foods.
Mhm.
And you ask them, have they ever tried it? They go, no. Like they're so
Yeah.
determined. And my rule in class is if you're not allergic to it, you have to at least try one bite. And then they
Yeah.
see their friends like trying it or they've made it with their own hands and
Mhm.
they're like, oh, this is good. It's just because they like the unfamiliar.
Yeah, even like the folks that don't like mayonnaise, right? They don't like mayo. I've made mayo from scratch, and it's guys, it's just olive oil and egg whites. And then when you tell them, they're like, "Oh, really? We always thought it was this weird goo from aliens." So yeah, like you said, I think if you see the raw ingredients and you see it put together, and you talk about food, I think it opens people's folks' minds. And one of my friends, Margarita, she has a daughter named Amelia, who's a foodie too, and she has the same rule with her: is take 2 bites. If you don't like it, we'll try it again. And this girl, she eats better than I do now. She just has an amazing palate. I didn't have that when I was her age. So teach your kids young to just try it all, and then keep trying it, and then figuring it out from there.
I really believe if we start teaching them young, whether, I mean, to cook or to be at least interested in different things, then everyone will try new things when they're older. And I think that translates into some other life things. Now I have a question. You go
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that, and that goes across the spectrum, right? Everyone loves a cheeseburger, everyone loves pizza, but like that goes with everything. I mean, I drink my green juice, right, which is just raw cucumber, spinach, leaves. I'm one of those folks that loves everything. I have friends who tease me because I love vegan food, and they're complete meat eaters. It's okay to have that perfect full spectrum of eating where you enjoy everything. It's a beautiful life to live when you enjoy everything, the good, the bad, the delicious, the what they call weird vegan food. But I love it.
You guys
It's
want
good
balance.
stuff.
You
Yeah.
can't eat a cheeseburger every day. You just
No, you
can't.
can't. You can't. Yeah.
Because you got to have some vegetables in your life. I always promote balance for the most part in your life, like a 80-20 rule. Like you eat well and healthy and balanced for 80%, and then 20% is that extra glass of wine or dessert, or the day that you eat like a cheeseburger from somewhere,
Yeah.
which I know in your line of work probably doesn't quite work.
Well, and even more so for my line of work, I think is important too. I mean, I know this is like a big brand, Trader Joe's, but I take the shots too. Like you have to take care of your body, even more so if you're going to be kind of a foodie as well, right? So, you're right. It's all about balance and taking care of yourself. Yeah.
I got a really big question for you.
Oh, here we
You
go.
eat out all the time.
Yeah.
You love food.
Yeah.
Can you actually cook?
So, um, I was taught from a very young age that you had to at least know how to cook 2 or 3 dishes amazingly. And I have those dishes. But beyond that, I don't cook much because I'm always out supporting restaurants. But I think cooking is definitely one of the things that I wanted to tackle this year, because it is therapeutic too. It's like yoga. It's like dancing. There's something very ancestral to we've had previous generations cooking, and they passed down their knowledge and recipes, and now you're doing this. So it's for myself, that's something that I definitely want to tackle this year. But in the meantime, I mean, if you're cooking, I'll stop by.
Yeah, I definitely, that's my thing. Like, I tell people, like, when we were young, they kept us in the kitchen with my great grandmothers
Mhm.
and my grandmothers. I think it was mostly so we didn't break the antiques in her house,
Yeah.
but and to keep
Yeah.
us out of trouble. But we learned to cook that way. Like, there's
Yeah.
always food at family gatherings, and I learned to cook that way. And then when I got older, cooking with my dad
Yeah.
liked to cook more than my mom. My mom makes about 3 dishes, like you said,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
really good at. She's trying to follow some of my recipes, but she goes, never turn out the way that I do them. So she's
Right.
like,
Right. Right.
you just need to cook them so I don't have to.
Right. And it's one of those things too. At least we know how to do the 3 things, right? Because when we make it good. But it is one of those skills that I think modern society has kind of lost a little bit, and that's something that I kind of want to reclaim for myself personally. But it's definitely on my bucket list. Yeah, to chef it up.
I find baking to be more therapeutic because you have to measure everything perfectly, whereas cooking,
Yeah.
like you said, is more like dancing. There's like,
Right. Right.
not every tomato tastes the same, so you might need a pinch more salt or
Mm,
pepper on it, and like, so there's
yeah.
a little more like free form to it. than
Right.
there is where baking is an actual science. So when
Right.
I'm really stressed, I bake. My neighbors love it because I can only keep my freezer so full. So I give them to like friends and neighbors.
That's perfect. Yeah, they love you. They're never moving, by the way.
Probably not, but they love it when I do stuff or when I test recipes and I have way too much food to like keep in the house. So yeah, I give them to my neighbors.
No,
But
that's
I also
perfect.
get my driveway. They snow blow my driveway for me. So
Oh, I mean, listen, even if you guys were offered, the market's hot right now, right? Even if you're offered more money than your house is worth, that's worth not selling. I'm telling you, good neighbors are hard to come by. So
they
if
are.
you have a
They're
great
very good.
relationship, you stay there for the rest of your days. Yeah.
I love my neighbors. So you said that you grew up like you worked in the food industry and then
Mhm.
you were a radio DJ. How do you go from working in the food industry and like nightclubs to a radio DJ?
Yeah, so it was actually kind of the reverse. So uh, when I first got to Rhode Island, I got a job at a local radio station, just doing weekends, and became full time. Had a blast. I did it for about, I want to say, almost 10 years.
Wow.
Um, and this is kind of a unique way that I got into it. Is a lot of the folks that have restaurants now used to own nightclubs before. So what I mean by that is, as a radio personality, we used to get hired to go out to clubs and talk on the mic like, "Hey, we're having a blast. We're giving away tickets to some concert." And when the nightlife scene kind of died down in Rhode Island, a lot of those owners um, started opening up bars and started opening up restaurants. And in true Rhode Island fashion, they're like, "Hey, we know a guy that can put some people in here. Let's do that." And we started promoting restaurants, and then the golden age of social media started about 10 years ago as well. And we quickly learned how that all worked, and how can we use this for the most positive good that we can. And again, these folks were I grew up with these folks, right? This is my family. So what do you do with families? You take care of family.
Of course.
So that's how my transition went from radio into restaurants. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's similar as anything else. You're making connections along the way that
Yeah.
kind of
Oh yeah.
paved your career in this way, which I think is really interesting. I
Yeah.
don't know if I could be a DJ. That's a lot of people staring at me in some
Yeah,
places.
it was a fun time. They like anything else in life, you do something for a decade, and it's kind of time for a change. Same thing with restaurants. Working in the restaurants for 10 years, and then I decided, hey, how can I? You always have to think about how you can maximize how to help folks, right? And the best way that I knew was to grow a brand, a platform where with the click of a button, we can help a restaurant sell out tickets to a dinner series, or to a tasting, or to let the masses know that there's a new restaurant. And that's where we are right now. And I love every second of it. Yeah.
I got to come to your next event.
Yeah.
Send me information. So, how do you pick like I'm sure people are sending you stuff and friends are sending you restaurants to review and there's new places opening. How do you like, is there a choosing process of how this goes? Like, do people submit things to you?
Yeah, it's kind of a mix. It's a mix of all those things. A new restaurant is opening, so they reach out. A friend is open, or sorry, a restaurant that I became friends with is opening up a second restaurant. And sometimes, believe it or not, because a lot of emphasis goes into the Providence metro area, right? That people forget that there's more to Rhode Island than just Providence and Newport. So
Basically.
sometimes we'll sit there and we'll just open up Google Maps and we're like, all right, let's go. There's a Chili's. Obviously, we're not doing that. And we'll find local restaurants. Like one of the most recent ones that we did was over the border in Attleboro was Burgundian, which is amazing food. And then we also drove all the way down to Westerly to give some love to Westerly at a place called Bomb Burritos, which was really delicious. And it's kind of that way too. It's kind of, we do that part of it to keep it fun and funky and keep us on our toes, and just try to, like, what is there to eat in Burrillville, right? Like, you just pick these like cities that are
I
out.
don't know.
Exactly, that's my whole point. So, you know, we all know kind of what's in the metro area. Where else? What other corners of Rhode Island can we hit? Like, there's an amazing place called Kay's. It's the northern part of Rhode Island that I had one of the best steak sandwiches ever, and I never would have known about it unless we were searching it. And now more folks know about it, and then hopefully more folks know about it, and hopefully that restaurant can, you know, can thrive. You know.
I know the restaurants are recovering so much with everything that's happened over the last few years. And actually, some of my favorite places around where I live have actually closed down just because between staffing, money, they were smaller restaurants, but they were really good restaurants, and they just don't have what it takes to stay open, even with the funding. And it's sad. And even with people supporting it, like campaigns like yours, the 100 restaurant in 100 days, I think that's really nice that you just randomly pick a spot and go in and see, hey, well, this looks fun.
And you know, some places like currently there's a campaign going on to save Bucktown. Bucktown has some of the best po' boys and fried chicken sandwiches I've eaten in all my travels. And you know, they're currently trying to raise money to keep it afloat during the winter, which is, as we all know, in Rhode Island, is the restaurants, it's their like slow season, right? So, you know, we're going to be helping them out a little bit and trying to help them survive. But you're right, there are other restaurants that we'll never see again. We'll just never see again. And I think what's lost on, and you can't put all the blame on politicians. You can't put all the blame on just one entity. But the one thing that we can always convey sometimes is that local restaurants, in whatever neighborhood that they're in, they are essentially, you know, the kitchen of that community, right? Um, go to, I challenge anybody to go to any chain restaurant and then go to any local restaurant and ask them for gift cards for a raffle, or ask them to sponsor their daughter's little league team. And 9 out of 10 times, it'll be the local restaurant that does that.
Yeah, well, that and like people and like the big chains always have to go through like some corporate entity, and they push you off to them when they do raffles and things, and it never really goes anywhere. But
and not only that, it's you know, it's probably designed not to go anywhere also. Whereas, you know, you can sit down with the manager, with the actual owner sometimes at a local restaurant, and they're more than happy to, you know, be woven deeper into the fabric of that community. Yeah.
I get hit up a lot for like raffles and giveaways and like
Same.
stuff for tournaments and things. And I do as much as I can during the year. I mean, I'm not a restaurant, I'm a personal chef and stuff, but as much as I can, like I'll give away classes or like private lessons or something for people so that they can have anything. I mean, it may not be much to some people, but for me, it's a big deal when there's hundreds of dollars of stuff I give away every year.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things too that you have to kind of sit back and sometimes look inward and say, what's the most that I can do? And you know, and what you have to do too is you have to surround yourself with folks that have that same mentality. And usually, if you get a really good circle of foodies and restaurants, you can make some magic happen. And I'm very fortunate that throughout my years in radio and working with restaurants and social media and marketing and everything else, that you know, we've built a really good reputation and team. You know, we're the positivity foodies. We just love just spreading that. And you can make some magic happen. Is my whole point. Yeah.
I think there's enough to go around for everyone.
Oh, yeah,
and if you support each other, I think I've always been a big believer that if you support each other, it helps each other
Yeah.
instead of like trying to be competitive with each other.
Right. What's my favorite saying is collaboration over competition is one of
Oh, I
my
like
favorite
that one.
sayings. Yeah, collaboration over competition. Um, and a lot of it too has to do with restaurants helping them kind of getting in tune with the new trends, right? And I don't mean like this crazy burger with a pickle on it, but you have someone like Plant City, right? Who
I love them. I check them
I
out
love
when
I
I'm
love Kim and her own team. Allie, everybody over there is amazing. But they had to sit down and say, hey, how are Americans eating? So they got the Plant City X. They're like, people love drive-throughs. Life is so stressful now that it needs to be grab and go. And they've even teamed up with a local gas station company called Neon, where you can pick up their sandwiches in the gas stations and heat it up at home. So it's also trying to
wow.
take a step back, look at what kind of creative partnerships you can make, and also what kind of see the trends of folks eating. That's why you saw a big surge of like HelloFresh and all these companies doing that, or even having companies that have pre-made meals that's all they do. They drop them off in your front door locally. Also, there's companies doing that. So you have to you always, and that's in any industry. I have to do that with social media. Social media and goes so fast. I'm like, wait. We were using this way to do things. Now it's this way.
I
Within
have
a
some
day.
very smart people that help me keep up with
Good,
that.
good. Yeah. No, that's good. No, that means you have a good team. That's good.
Yeah, I can't keep up with that stuff, and I'd rather keep up with the food trends and
Yeah.
keeping up when being there for my clients. So I have some very smart people I work with,
Good, good.
and they help me with keeping up with that stuff. And
You
I
can't do it.
am not tech savvy.
Yeah, that's okay. You can't. One of the things that I've always learned in life is you can't do it alone. Um, and for the longest time, we all kind of want to do it alone because we don't want we're all kind of perfectionists deep down inside, and we don't want to bother people. For whatever reason, it all boils down to one thing: is you can't do it alone. And that's advice for restaurants. That's advice for
So true.
individuals. That's advice for everybody.
So I have something that fascinates me.
Sure.
Is what was your favorite job out of all this? Like, is this your like ultimate job combined with like, because this kind of combines everything you've been doing into
Yeah.
one amazing job, or did you really like doing other aspects of all the jobs you've had?
Um, I am by far having the best time of my life right now. So this is by far my most favorite job. Um, and it's because, you know, we're we're going to talk to content creators directly now for a moment. Um, if you're on TV or if you're on radio, you have a manager, you have a producer, everything is filtered, everything else. But when you make your own content, all that, for good or bad, lies on your shoulders. But that also comes with the freedom of you get to create who you are. And all of us are authentically ourselves, and that's what people really want to see. So when folks go to our YouTube channel or our Instagram and they see silly videos, that's really us. Like, we could be serious and do really serious photos and things like that. But even if you scroll back where we used to do photo shoots, I mean, we're holding chicken parms or like this, and we're just having fun because that's who we are. And if you can make a living out of being yourself and while helping others, make a living out of giving, it's a beautiful thing. So where I am in this space right now in my life and my career and everybody in it is by far a dream come true. Yeah.
Well, you're traveling now for
Yeah,
Rhody.
yeah. Hotel room. I'm in Alabama right now. Yeah.
Alabama, wow.
Yeah.
So where have you like been like on your journey? I've seen some posts you started posting to social media, but where have you been?
So far, been traveling down. I've been spending most of the time down here in the South. So, I've a lot of this stuff is a mix between bucket list things, but also showcasing local restaurants along the way, and deep down inside too. And I know this is going to sound very, very kind of biased, but I always compare the food on the road to back in Rhode Island. And I don't think I almost want to send a busload of Rhode Islanders around the country so that they can see how well we are fed in Rhode Island and how amazing the food is in Rhode Island. That we're spoiled children. We're like children of billionaires living around Rhode Island. We're so spoiled. We don't even know how good we have it in Rhode Island and our food scene. We just don't know. And that's not to say I haven't found some really good gems. Most of them, being little hole in the wall places, which is where I like to eat and where my heart is. But deep down in the South here, staying Alabama, I'll be shipping over to Mississippi, hopefully getting into Texas, and then coming back to Rhode Island for a little bit.
That's a whole lot of barbecue days. Like,
Yeah, that's a lot of barbecue. I know, and they all have their own. It's a beautiful thing. It's like calamari in Rhode Island. It's what it is, but everyone does it differently, and every single place tastes different. It's a treat. It's really nice. Yeah.
it's like if you ask people their favorite lobster roll place in Texas, if you ask them their favorite barbecue place,
Yeah. It's a
you're gonna
fight.
get 100 different answers.
It's a fight. This place is amazing, but they put too much mayo. This place is amazing, but their bun sucks. And it's like, oh my god, there's so many. Just eat it all is my. It's gonna be my new tagline. Just eat it all. Try it all.
I like that.
Yeah.
Eat everything. You're right. Life is too short not to try something, do
Yeah.
something,
There's too much
explore
food out
anything.
there. Yeah.
Now, a friend of ours that we have in common told me to ask you where you
Ooh.
see Rhody Foodie going in the next 5-10 years.
Ooh. I wonder who this friend is. I think it's doubling down on what we're doing, growing our reach, um, and kind of innovating at the same time. We have some things that we wanted to accomplish, that we were talking about New Year's Eve 2020, and then 2020 happened. um, so a lot of it too was going to be event based, right? How can we help restaurants make more revenue outside of their restaurant? And that was always going to fall into an event, outdoor, just super food fest. And I still have all those plans. It's just we have to wait when the moment's right, you know. But yeah, it's doubling down on our social media, figuring out new trends and new creative avenues to help them, and really jumping into, when it's ready, big, huge food fairs, where especially during, because some restaurants, they thrive during the winter and their summer because everyone goes towards the water, right?
Yeah.
They're like, where everyone's in Narragansett, Newport. So the inner city, the metro area, doesn't really get that much unless you have a deck or something like that where people can eat outside. So it's figuring out ways that we can help out those folks. And also, one of the things that I would love to accomplish that I've seen in my travels during the cold weather season is Rhode Island, for some reason, doesn't take advantage of how cold it is outside. There's other cities, especially New England, that do outdoor festivals when it's freezing outside. So that's also
We've been
another
to the
avenue.
Winter Food Festival.
Yeah, just where did I go? I think I went to New Hampshire, and they just had like an ice bar. They had like a husky sled thing, and then you got to bounce around from all the restaurants, and then there was an outdoor thing with the skating. They took full advantage. They didn't let winter kind of hinder them. They actually used it to their advantage. So, it's kind of finding some fun, creative ways on how to expand on what we have here in Rhode Island, and then always being open to new things and being open to different things. One of the things that I've challenged myself and the Rhody Foody family members this year is let's get uncomfortable, right? What's something that makes us uncomfortable that we think could maximize us with our own mission statement, which is helping out local restaurants. So we're still working on that too. Yeah.
I love all those ideas. I'd love a food festival in the winter or summer and those
both,
things.
right? Year round. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, why not take advantage of everything we have to offer here in New England?
Yeah.
And I love your attitude towards everything. You're just a nice, happy, positive light. Now, if you want to follow Lupe, go to Rhody Foody on Instagram or his lovely YouTube channel. His videos are hilarious. And some of his friends are very entertaining.
Yeah.
And the ones I saw, I didn't get to see all of them, but I did quite a few.
There's a lot. Yeah.
So go check him out. And I want to thank you for taking the time to come on the show today.
No, I'm very humbled and blessed for the invitation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You enjoy your travels.
I will. Believe it or not, it is below freezing here right now. It is about 28 degrees. And I am very upset because growing up, you think that the South is nice and toasty during the winter. And that is not the case. Not the case whatsoever.
It's about -5 here, so.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, that's true. But I packed all my good thing. I had to go to the store and get this jacket because I brought summer clothes with me to travel in. And silly me. And this is why I always tell folks to go ahead and travel and get out of your neighborhood for a little bit, even if it's like a staycation in the area, and just explore a little bit. Yeah, life is short.
It is, and we're definitely learning that the last few years. So it's time to explore and support local. And make sure you guys go and check out Lupe at Rhody Foody. And I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, everyone. I will be right back after these messages from one of our sponsors, and we will be making some healthy, satisfying, warm cookies to enjoy this week.
Fight again. And if you want my opinion, I let it take me away. Only relief is the four on the floor and the crowd that goes, oh, turn it up, turn it up, turn it up, turn it up, oh, turn it up, turn it up.
And we are back, everyone. We are going to be cooking my favorite winter cookies. These are my oatmeal cranberry chocolate chip cookies. Now, they are healthy. I know a healthy cookie. Don't look at me like that, everyone. But, it's winter. We're craving a little bit of sweet, a little bit of comfort. And a little while back, let's see if I can show this in the food can, if we can see it in the food can. I found these. The Hue Kitchen baking chips. They're amazing. There's no alcohols, no refined sugars, no stevia. They're dairy, paleo. They got everything. They're sweetened with date syrup. So it's pretty awesome. So I'm going to use these in here. I highly recommend them. Go to their site to get them. Now, I have about a cup of flour. These are G-free, so but you can use regular flour. You don't have to use gluten-free. And I have a cup of flour, and I'm going to add in a cup of coconut sugar. Now, coconut sugar gives that like caramelized brown taste that like a dark sugar a dark brown sugar will give in your cookies. And because of that, it gives that nice toasted edge. Coconut sugar is also sustainable, so it's a lot better for you. And it's a natural sweetener. So I'm going to add that in. The best part of these cookies is it's a one bowl cookie and no mixer needed. Just a little elbow grease. Now I have a little bit of baking soda and baking powder. About a half a teaspoon of each is going in, and a pinch of salt. Now, why do we put salt into baking ingredients? Salt brings out sweet on our palates. And because of that, we need the salt to bring out the taste because it hits different points on our tongue. Alrighty, putting everything in. And my favorite, cinnamon. It's such a warming spice, especially in the winter, that I have some nice cinnamon here. I like a little more than is in the actual recipe, but I have this about a tablespoon of cinnamon. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stir this up. We want to make sure that everything's well incorporated because you don't want to take a bite of a cookie that just has like cinnamon or there's just like a chunk of baking powder in one way. You can use a whisk or a spoon. It doesn't really matter. You'll know it's all incorporated because you can see the cinnamon and the coconut sugar going all throughout. All right, so as you can see, it looks like this. I'm getting so excited. These are going to be like my afternoon treat. I would hold off till after dinner, but I so can't when I have these cookies. They're totally my favorite. All right, so everything's mixed in. Now I make a little well on the inside. Can you see that? For the softened, I have some softened to room temperature, a little bit of butter and a little bit of coconut oil. The reason I don't do full butter or full coconut oil is you can use vegan butter, so you don't have to have dairy butter if you have problems, or if you want to keep these vegan, you can. You can use flax egg in here too if you don't want to use an actual egg, because we're going to be adding an egg in a minute. I've tried it both ways and it works really well. I tried applesauce as an egg replacement. It didn't go so well, but you can use the flax egg. That works. So we're going to add in the egg as well. Perfect. Give it a nice mix. Now, when you're cracking an egg in to a mix like this, and you see the butter and the sugar, anything that's cold, it's best that it's at room temperature because that's so the ingredients incorporate a little bit better. Now, I'm just kind of mixing it in. This batter is going to get super thick. And then, now that I started mixing it a little, we're going to add in our vanilla. This is pure vanilla. You can use vanilla bean paste if you want, whatever form of vanilla you're fond of. I love vanilla. Little tip though, don't try it when it's not in a recipe. Vanilla does not actually taste as good as it smells, unless it is baked into something because of the alcohol in it. Alrighty, we're mixing in the dough here. It is definitely an elbow grease, but if you put it in a mixer, it overmixes the batter and you get really tough cookies, and that is something we don't want. Now we're going to be baking these cookies at 350 degrees. And they make a decent amount. I mean, it depends on what the size of the cookies are you want. I'm more of a medium-ish size cookie kind of girl. Or they could be considered big, depending on, I don't know, I guess it depends on your perspective. So we are going to mix in 2 cups. This is what makes them oatmeal. I got 2 cups of gluten-free rolled oats here. And these are good. They give the cookies texture and body and fiber in our cookies, just like the coconut gave us fiber. Really, you can't go wrong. And we're putting in healthy chocolate. guess the only thing you could say wasn't the greatest is the dried cranberries, because they're usually high in sugar. I did find a brand that only sweetens theirs with apple juice on Thrive Market. So if you want to check that out, you can get them there. I haven't found them in any of the grocery stores yet, but I don't know if maybe a bigger grocery store near you has them, or maybe a small local health food shop near you has them. So check them out. All right, this is what it looks like when it's all incorporated. Now we are going to fold in the dried cranberries. Now here's the thing with cranberries. I always try to separate them because you know how dried fruit sticks together like raisins and stuff. You can have raisins if you like raisins. I'm not judging. You can leave the cranberries out and just make them chocolate oatmeal cookies. I am not judging you. I am not in your kitchen. My mother hates dried cranberries. So whenever I make these cookies, she won't eat them. So they're kind of for me. Or if she does eat them, she complains about the dried cranberries. That's okay. Can't make everybody happy. All right. Perfect. Those are broken up enough. Now, see, this has a very nice, easy tab. And as you can see, we have them here. Oops, sorry, upside down. So, you know, I wanted to share the ingredients with you. These are also allergy, really good for allergies. They're organic trade. They have organic fair trade cacao, organic date, organic fair trade cocoa butter, organic fair trade melting. That's all that's in here. Sorry, sometimes the small print. I think I'm getting old. I can't see stuff when it's dark. I may need to get glasses. The last few years staring at the computer so much, oh, I can't see. Oh. Got a test them, you know, a little for the chef. They are so good. Okay, if I don't stop eating them, I'll eat way too many of them. Chocolate is my downfall. Dark chocolate, like healthy dark chocolate. I don't eat like refined white sugar or anything like that. I usually stick to natural sugars like coconut sugar or maple syrup or honey. This is the closest to like actual sugar I'll eat is the coconut sugar. All right. We have it all mixed, and as you can see, it is a very thick batter. And I'm going to bring you over here with me. Can we see this? All right. So we have the batter here, and I have cooking spray. And now I have a powder measuring cup. And what I'm going to do is take a small one, like a 1/4 cup one. If you don't want to use scoops, you can use the 1/4 cup one. Am I showing it in the right camera? There we go. And I spray it with olive oil. I have a very large baking sheet that is sprayed to perfection as I'm knocking stuff over. Perfect, you can see. So we do this, put it here, and scoop. And we just keep going until they are all set. It doesn't take very long. They take about 15 minutes. They get nice and crunchy on the edges. You want to cook them 12 to 15 minutes. Make sure that you rotate them halfway through so that they don't burn. So, all right, let's get this. We have that. Let's scoop it all out. Now, here's the thing, is it will form, you're gonna have to pat them down a little so that they turn into more of a cookie-ish shape if you use this and not a scoop. Perfect. You should get around 10 or 11 of them, depending on how well you mixed and measured. Occasionally, sometimes you can get 11 if you, depending on how much you went overboard with the fillings and didn't measure, like I just did with the chocolate. I always like to err on the side of more is more with the chocolate. So what you'll do is you can take the back of this and just smush it down and smush. Smoosh. Smoosh. That way they won't, because they'll just stay in that kind of ball shape. And I'm going to put them in for about 12 to 15 minutes. I will take a picture on my Instagram stories. So make sure you go to BellaFoodie7 at Instagram and you can see what the finished products look like. I thank you guys for joining me. Thank you, Rhody Foody, for joining us today. We had such an amazing time. Stay tuned next week. I have some amazing guests. And thank you again. Let's hope everyone's staying warm and cozy in their homes. All right, everyone. Stay nice and warm.